My name is Marlon, and I'm from the Miami-Dade Public Library System, and we're going to go ahead and get started today with our character development workshop. So I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful library staff. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marlon. And again, thank you everybody for joining us today. We have a great webinar for you and some great exercises. But before we start, I'd like to let you know, if you created your very own sketchbook, that's amazing. You might want to take that out right now so you could follow along when Jaden comes on, as he will be leading you with some exercises so that you could start developing your own characters. And also take out your sketchbooks, because there's going to be some very important terminology that you might want to use. And of course, careers is always very important. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. So first and foremost, what is a character development? Well, this is the process of building a unique, a three-dimensional character in depth, from its personality to its aesthetics. But of course, before we start, we always like to give you guys the careers of what you could find in this industry, because it's never too early or too late to look into any of these careers. So let's start with assistant character designer. But I'm going to have Jaden chime in on this one, because I know he knows a little bit more than I do. So Jaden, would you come in, please?
Yeah, of course. So hi everyone, my name's Jaden. I'm another one of the instructors here at YOUmake. And as we dive into careers, if any of you were here for some of our previous webinars where we talked about careers in storyboarding and animation, every one of these different departments in animation have levels of careers, right? So assistant character designer is pretty much the entry level position. Instead of being the one that does the designs, you're kind of the one assisting and creating assets for the character. And what that means is that assets might be like alternative looks for the character, or different outfits for the character, maybe different like mouth charts, like different mouth poses for the lip syncing, or different hands, stuff like that. So if you have like think of like if you had a puppet and you had to make accessories for it, it's kind of like additional things that you can add to the design as the assistant.
Yes, thank you so much, Jaden, for that wonderful explanation. And I'll continue from here. So the next one, we have character designer, and this person obviously creates the looks, the turnarounds, making sure that they have special poses or facial expressions, of course. Next, we have the character modeler. So this person actually works for the video games and 3D animation. So they'll create like sculptures of this character, and of course, based off whatever art they are trying to conceptualize. Next, we have a character animator. This person specifically gives movement to the character, and Jaden will continue to talk a little bit more about this. And last but not least, we have our lead character designer. Now, exactly what the title says, this person leads the designing team and oversees the projects, make sure that they are running on time, that they're meeting their deadlines, and of course, that the style is consistent in all of their work. Now, to the fun stuff. If you yourself want to maybe develop your own portfolio, like I said, it's never too early and never too late to begin your own portfolio. This is why I told you to just take out your sketchbook and have it handy so that you could go ahead and write some of this information. So when you're doing your portfolio, you want to include exploration sheets. And what these are, you're pretty much going to be figuring out how your character is going to look. And if you notice here, this character, this little cat here, it's actually the same character. You were to think it's 4 different ones, but they're not. The artist here is basically showing us her thinking process and letting us know how she thinks or how she views this character. From there, she will go ahead and decide what best fits her character's personality. So now, the next section in your portfolio, you'll have the turnarounds. And if you notice here, let's take a quick look here, you'll see that the character that is in front of us is the same little cat that's over here. But if you look closely, some of these elements, the designer actually adopted some of them and combined them all together to create this one character. Now, in the turnarounds, this is pretty much the blueprint of the character, and this is actually given to the animation studios. You will be turning in these turnarounds and facial expressions to the animation studios so that they could go ahead and animate it for you. And here the turnaround is very basic. You'll see the front, the back, quarter view, and side, of course. And it's also very important to know that when you do turnarounds and you include them in your portfolio, you cannot have rough sketches. They need to be clean and clear as to how your character is going to look. Next, we have facial expressions. These, of course, are references as to how the character emotes emotion, whether they're happy, surprised, angry, or scared. You want to give the animator options. Next, we have special poses. As you saw in the turnarounds, it is very static. It's just the front, the back, side, and quarter view. But in special poses, these are going to be additional references where you'll see where the character acts in different situations. For example, here we see Ronnie Ann laying down playing with a video game, and she's got her little cute tongue out. Thought it was adorable. And then you see her skateboarding, or maybe she's running happy, or maybe she's running away from something. So let's continue. Now, in character acting, this is the art of translating a character's personality into their movements. So each character will have a unique sort of movement according to, of course, their characteristics, their personality. But I'd like to turn it over to Jaden just a bit because he has a great explanation. Jaden?
Yes. So I don't know if anyone in the chat is familiar with this cartoon. It's a little old school, but these characters are called Ed, Ed, and Eddie. And as you can see, each of them runs very differently. Eddie, the one with the blue pants, he's kind of like the leader of the group. He's always coming up with all these schemes to trick the kids in the neighborhood into giving him money so he can buy candy. He's very greedy. So he has his hands out in front of him when he runs because he's very grabby. And then we have Ed, the one with the striped shirt. He's he's not the brightest crayon in the box. He's a little bit more lax and carefree. So he kind of throws his head back when he runs. And then you have Double D, the one with the black beanie hat. He's very paranoid and he's OCD and like a big neat freak. So he has his elbows up, like he doesn't want to touch anything around him. He's very hesitant. So just the way that they run shows a lot about their personality. So when you're making your character, think a lot about how that character walks, how they talk, how they move, what their mannerisms are, because that's really going to help them come alive.
Thank you so much, Jaden, for that wonderful explanation. And last but not least, guys, you definitely want to have mouth charts. So what are mouth charts? These are illustrations of different mouth movements that are used to lip sync your animation. So if they're saying hi, or they have an O or an I or an A, you definitely want to be able to see, show off this in your portfolio. Now I'm gonna toss it over to Hector, who's also going to continue in more depth in developing your portfolio and giving you more tips. But let me go ahead and toss it over to Hector. Hector?
All right, thank you so much for that wonderful explanation, Diana. So continuing with character development, one of the things that you want to inquire about is how do you develop your characters? What are some of the tips and tricks that we can recommend for you guys? And the first one is to do research. Use reference materials as much as possible. For example, there was a pair of Pixar illustrators and animators who wanted to do a little animation on a parrot. And what they ended up doing is they went to their local pet store where they had some parrots, and they started recording the behavior of the parrot. And they saw that when one of them laughed, the parrot basically imitated the way this person laughed. So they thought that was a cute little characteristic of that parrot, and they incorporated that into their little animation. Another thing that they do, and it's highly recommended, is that you draw as many sketches of your subject, of your character, to try to capture their behavior and the essence. Draw from real life, of course, that is better, like in the case of these two animators who went to their local store. You can also record your subject. Nowadays, it's super easy to record using your cameras, your video phones, to capture their movement, especially, or the little colors, anything with the way they interact. For example, the way they play with their toys, or the way the character looks outside, the way they walk. Another good thing that you can do is to record yourself making faces. Back in the old days, they used mirrors. The animators basically posed little, they did like a happy face, a sad face, an angry face up in front of a mirror, and then they try to draw that impression. But like I said, nowadays it's so much easier with you using your phones, because you can basically just record yourself and then use that as a basis for your illustrations. Now, if you're interested in learning more about character development and animation in general, of course, we always like to refer you guys to some books and resources. And two really good ones that are actually available at our library is Draw the Looney Tunes from Warner Brothers, with an introduction from Dan Romanelli. This one is super cool if you like Bugs Bunny and all the Looney Tunes characters. They not only show you how to draw them, but how to look at them from multiple angles, how to do exaggeration, because that's one of the things from these cartoons, that, the way they laugh, the way they talk is very unique. And so you get a lot of really good advice from the original creators of these cartoons. And the other book that I recommend is called Modern Cartooning: Essential Techniques for Drawing Today's Popular Characters by Christopher Hart. So this one is a little bit more about drawing human characters in a more modern way. And again, you go through the whole process of a gesture drawing, which I'm going to mention a little bit later on, how to accessorize your characters, the importance of exaggeration, and all those essential techniques that are going to make you improve your cartoons and your illustrations. Okay. Some things that you want to take into consideration when you're coming up with your character, of course, is the body shape. You want to make sure that, for example, your heroes look, heroic. The shape of the body can determine a lot of your character. So the body shape is one, and related to that is the posture. The way, like Dinah showed us on that little animation, the way those characters were running, each one had their own, not only body shape, but their unique way of moving when they were running or when they're interacting. Sometimes they develop mannerisms. Another one that we saw is facial expressions. That's key. When you're starting out, you want to make sure that you develop as many different expressions for your characters, so that you know how your character is going to look when they're angry, when they're upset. And like I said, use either a mirror like they used to back in the day, or your phone to record yourself making those facial expressions if you don't exactly know how to get about it. Proportion is another thing to consider. You can exaggerate, of course. So the way, for example, the character not only looks, it can have, like, for example, a giant tail or a small head or a big body. Proportion tells a lot about that particular character. So make sure that you're experimenting when you're trying to develop your characters. Don't make the mistake, really, of just keeping each character looking pretty much the same. The more varied it is, that the more easy it's gonna be for you to have your audience recognize each character. And the last two is color and movement. Color, for example, The Simpsons, every character has the same skin color. When it comes to that, what really tells them apart is basically their body shape and their posture. The way Homer Simpson looks and moves is different, of course, than the way Marge looks, or even Bart. That is also part of character development. Think about how the character is going to move when they're walking versus when they're running or sneaking around. Even the way they eat and sleep it's important to look into. Continuing with the terms that we saw from Diana, I wanted to add a few more. One of them is called the archetype, and that's basically the characters that display stereotypical personalities, behaviors, and characteristics. And there's a few of them. The most common one, of course, is the hero. In this case, we have Batman, that's your typical hero, and you can see the proportions. He's very heroic, big chest, straight posture. We also have a villain. In this case, we have Scarecrow, and the face. He's skinny. His hands are almost kind of like claws. So he also has a very unique look. There's also the caretaker. In this case, Alfred, somebody who's basically the person who's like family to Batman. There's also the innocent, which in this case we can see, for example, Robin is a person who was just a normal child, and Batman takes over the parental duties and helps him become a hero as well. We also have the archetype of the ruler, but in this case, I put in the figure of the mayor. So the ruler is basically the leader, which is not necessarily the same thing as the hero. It can be the hero, but it's not required for the hero to be also the ruler. Next is the sage, a person who mentors the hero. In this case, we have the character, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. This is the Grey Ghost, somebody like Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings, or Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars saga with Anakin and Luke later on. And finally, we have the trickster, which is in this case, the perfect is the Joker. Now, if you think about it, the trickster in this case is also the villain. So just because you're focusing on one archetype doesn't mean that he's strictly focused on just being one type. He can have the characteristics of different ones. Another term that I want to illustrate is called gesture drawing. Now, gesture drawing is basically just laying in of the action, the form, and the pose of a figure. If you notice all of these illustrations on the right, they're very loose, very sketchy. Gesture drawing is supposed to be done in just a few minutes. It's not a final illustration, so you're only trying to capture the essence of the character. But it's very important that you explore and you familiarize yourself with gesture drawing so that you can work on developing your character so that it's a well-rounded character as well. And finally, we have the term silhouette. Now, silhouette is basically the exact shape of a form when it's represented as a solid shape of color, and it usually is black. And in this case, let's see if you guys can help me, Jaden and Dinah, see if anybody from our viewing audience can tell who these silhouettes belong to.
Any guesses, guys?
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I see.
Oh, they know it so well. They
Closer.
just did the initials.
So yeah,
And
this is actually the new version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And as you can see, they all not only have different body types. The original cartoon, it was very different. They all pretty much had the same silhouette, and you can really only tell them apart by, of course, their weapons and the type of mask that they had. So the
yeah,
silhouette has to be very specific, and you try to make it. That's why it's important when you're developing your characters that your hero looks very different than your villain, and of course, then all the other characters. They try not to make them look the same because that makes it easier for the viewer to be able to recognize and follow along with the story. And to show you a little demonstration of this process, I'm going to pass it over to Jaden, who's going to show us a little bit more into the creating of the silhouette and how that can inspire you to create your own character.
So piggybacking off of what Hector was just talking about with silhouettes, I wanted to play a little game with you guys. So can anyone in the chat tell me who these three characters are just based on their silhouette?
Jaden, they already figured it out even before
They
you
already
even.
figured. I can't see the chat, so what were you guys saying?
So we got Phineas, and then we got Loud, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we got Blossom.
All right. You guys are good at this.
Guys, even before we started. Oh my God.
So I'm gonna show you guys this little scribble I did really quick. I broke down the silhouettes a little bit further into basic geometric forms. So when you look at these shapes, you can see there's a lot of circles and ovals in Blossom. There's a lot of circles and squares in Lincoln. And then in Phineas, he's very triangular. And we mentioned earlier that this kind of shape language tells a lot about the character's personality, right? Blossom is like cute. she's fun and she's a superhero, so she's good. Lincoln is also a fun-loving kid. And even though Phineas has a lot of pointed angles, which would normally be associated with something more villainous, he's not a bad guy, but he is pretty mischievous. He's always getting into trouble and trying to make Candace look bad. So he's a little bit of a trickster. But yeah, you got them all right. You guys are good at guessing.
Why does Phineas look like a Dorito? He looks like a Dorito with eyes.
He does. Maybe the creator got inspired by Doritos. You never know.
But you know what? The creator is making a lot of money because all you need to do is see the silhouette and you can identify him already.
And you know, where else have you seen a character with a triangular head like that? It's very distinct. So when you make a successful character design, you make a silhouette that's very iconic that anyone can recognize.
I've got a couple uncles that have a head like that, that's shaped like that.
To lead us into the drawing exercise, I'm going to do a little warm-up exercise first. So here I created a couple of little blobs of color. So here we have some silhouettes, right? These are just some random abstract shapes. So we're going to turn these shapes into characters. We're going to make characters out of them. So imagine when you're looking up at the sky and you're looking at the clouds. Clouds always look like something to you, right? You can look at a cloud and be like, oh, that looks like a bunny, or that looks like a bowl of popcorn or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and start visualizing stuff out of these shapes and making them into characters. And we'll see the thought process behind it. So when I look at this one, I see an old man. Like, I imagine this to be like a nose. Maybe this is like a big chin.
I just want to point out, like, Jaden is amazing at this, and he's doing it on the spot, guys.
I know, it's amazing how he can see these characters in
Right?
blobs.
So we have Daniel saying, can they not be like humanoid and be more like monsters from a fantasy? Of course, oh, you mean like for Jaden
Like
to
the
do it, Daniel?
style.
Actually, at the end, we're gonna have you guys do an activity with us, with Jaden. I'm gonna be talking. You guys are gonna have a lot of input into this, but let's just check out what type of things like Jaden sees, and then try to see if you see something different, and go ahead and suggest it.
Dinah is an incredible artist too. She's very humble about it, but she's also very, very, very good as an artist and painter. And then Hector has a lot of skills too with everything from filmmaking and graphic design. So you guys are very lucky. You get to learn from a lot of really talented staff members.
Thank you, Marlon. Thank you so much.
Let's see also if they can help Jaden create the not this character, maybe one of the other ones. I saw that Daniel wanted to do like a monster or a creature.
Well, we are going to create an original character after this exercise. So you know what? While I do this, I had this set up for you guys already, but I want you to start thinking of a prompt for me to draw. So I want you guys to come up with an archetype. Remember, Hector mentioned that before. Is this character going to be a hero, a villain? Are they going to be like a supporting character? What is going to be their archetype? Pick a race or species. What I mean by that is this character going to be human? Are they going to be a creature? Are they going to be a talking inanimate object? So pick archetype, race, or species. Come up with a personality. Is this character going to be arrogant? Are they going to be short-tempered? Are they going to be kind of like shy? And also what their objective is. What is their goal? What are they trying to accomplish? So as I work on these little sketches, I want you guys to think about those things because I'm going to create a character out of your suggestions, okay?
Also, while you're at it, Jaden, they're asking about the application that you're using.
Yes, so this app is called Adobe Sketch. If you guys join us again next week, we're actually going to be teaching how to use this application for drawing. So make sure to stick around. This is a little preview of what this app can do.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but specifically, I see Mickey Mouse in this little blob. I don't know.
That's what I was going for. I'm gonna try to make my own mouse, like some kind of like knockoff, but it's like not Mickey, but it is, but it's not.
Well, we have somebody saying that the first blob is a pterodon. Interesting. Yeah.
A
Everybody
pterodon,
can see
okay.
different things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody
This
sees
one?
it different. Um, is that the
Is
one
it?
you're, uh, Brian? I don't know. I'm not sure which one he's thinking about. Yes, he said that one. Interesting.
This one. I don't know what a pterodon is. I think
Pterodon. So there's a dinosaur. Interesting.
Mhm.
Adobe Sketch.
No, I don't know,
But
but this one looks like a little old man.
Mm-hmm.
well, since you said pterodon, now I'm thinking of like some kind of reptilian kind of.
Oh yeah, now I see it.
I
Very
feel
cool.
like it looks like the Publix dinosaur, but
Oh, Brian says that he uses Sketchbook. Sketchbook is really good as well. Sketchbook is
yeah,
another good program to use. There are different
Sketchbook
ones.
Pro is a little bit more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And we mentioned some of these programs in our last presentation. There was Krita. The Krita is also a pretty good free program that you can use. Sketchbook is a good one. Um, so yeah, there's different ones. There's different ones out there.
Now, guys, keep in mind that this exercise that Jaden is doing right now, you can add things like this to your portfolio. Add them in there so that you could go ahead and show these things off. And then whoever is looking at your portfolio, whether that be a possible employer or your professor, or you just want to, show everybody what you can do, they could really get to see your thought process and what you see and how creative you can get. So keep that in mind.
And when you start getting ready to apply for colleges and things like that, people are going to want to
Exactly.
see your portfolio and what kind of creativity and professionalism you have to offer.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, since I can't see the chat, if anybody has suggestions for the character they'd like to create, let me know.
So I saw a cat.
I'm gonna write them
A,
down. I
a
can't see any
flying
of the suggestions.
snake. For the archetype, a lot of them are saying a sage. So for
A
maybe for the archetype,
sage.
it's sage.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with that. A sage.
Brian is saying a stubborn cat. Which one should we go for? We have a cat or a dragon.
Old dragon.
But what about the personality, guys? So we're missing the personality too. Give us some
One person did
Let's
say
pick
stubborn, so stubborn is some sort of a personality.
stubborn.
stubborn. Okay, that makes
A
sense.
stubborn
You
sage.
know,
Okay, we can do that. Stubborn.
Astocat said Looney. What about Looney?
Stubborn. Looney, kind of
that could also be.
crazy.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I figure when you say loony, he can be like an old eccentric, sage.
Wait, what'd you call me? Oh no, sorry. I thought you were talking.
Well, also try to think a little bit outside of the box. Try not to fall into cliches or stereotypes. Just because they're a sage doesn't mean they have to be old or have to be loony. You can kind of flip it and do the opposite. Do something.
Daniel is saying a five-headed dragon, each with their
That's a
own
lot. I don't know.
Oh, each with a different personality. I like that.
That is cool. That is cool. I don't know if we have enough time to to draw all of them,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a cool idea for sure.
So
I
we've
don't know.
gotten snake, dragon, cat. I guess I can do some kind of like reptilian thing since it seems like that's the direction we're going in. So I guess I'll put reptile for now. And do we want to stick with stubborn or do we want to make them crazy? And also start thinking about what this character's goal is. What's their objective? What do they want to do?
Alyssa is saying, I guess the character would be Gwen. The archetype is a heron. Species, a yellow parakeet. Personality, sweet. And objective in the Hawaiian, to be a Hawaiian islander.
That
That's a
sounds like
lot.
Animal Crossing. I see you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to collectively pick answers from a little bit of everyone. So
Yeah.
maybe we can go with that objective. Maybe they want to be an islander.
Yeah. Let's do
Maybe they
that.
want to retire. They want to retire to an island. Retire to an island. They're very stubborn because they're just done with being a sage. They just wanna relax. So, all right, so I'm gonna start coming up with concepts for this character. I'm gonna hide this. I'm gonna start sketching. So a lot of you guys said like snake and dragons. I'm gonna go with like some kind of lizard type of character. Um, You don't have to do it this way, but because we're playing with silhouette, I'm gonna start with a blob like I did before, just to kind of imagine the silhouette of the character, and then I'm gonna start filling it in as I go. So if it's a reptile, reptiles tend to be, especially snakes or lizards, are kind of long. I'm gonna give them like a triangular kind of head, maybe like a long neck. Maybe has like a lanky kind of build.
If you have drawings or sketches that you want to share with us, we can have a little bit of time at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course.
Would love to see that for sure.
I'm gonna try to come up with maybe like 2 or 3 concepts. So this is one. Maybe in another one he could be a little more stout. Very tired sage. Likes to eat a lot. Because he's a sage, I'm gonna give him some kind of like staff.
So Astocat is saying that the character looks a little bit something from Lilo and Stitch. Interesting.
Well, Lilo and Stitch does have a lot of aliens.
Mm-hmm. I like that little staff that you're on. That's very, very cool. And remember, guys, have fun when you're coming up with the character. This is a perfect time to be experimental. Don't be afraid to try different things and think outside of the box. Like Jaden says, try to do as many different variations of your characters. You might even combine a couple of those characters and make one out of 2 or 3 different that you draw, that you sketch out. Like a little robe.
You've got pointy little fingers.
Did we have an objective finally? Did anybody mention what the objective was of
Yes,
this?
he wanted to retire to an island.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. This is to be a Hawaiian island.
That sounds great. I could go
Take
for
me.
that. You
Take-
too,
Yeah.
right?
I'm ready to retire.
I think we all are ready to go to an island.
Now, guys, I'd like to point out that this is obviously a great practice, but you could add these pages to your portfolio. It's very important. My professors love to see our thought process, and I want to make sure that I really drive that so you guys get that in your heads and start doing that. And of course, we will give you some time at the end if you'd like to share. Just hang on tight, and let's go ahead and continue watching Jaden, how wonderful he is, and look at his sketching.
While he's drawing, what kind of characters or what kind of stories are you guys interested in? You can type it in the chat.
Yeah,
Another portfolio tip could be, depending on where it is that you're applying, even though you want to showcase your own unique voice and your own style, you also should be mindful if the style that you're showing is appropriate for the production or the job that you're applying for. For example, if you were to apply to, let's say, to be a character designer on SpongeBob, but your art style looks kind of like very anime and very realistic, that may not be the best fit because in SpongeBob, the characters are very stylized and cartoony. So you want to make sure that the style that you're using will be a good match for that particular project. It's okay to tailor your portfolio a little bit to certain positions you're going for.
Right. Brian says that he loves Marvel stuff, so that's always good. Very, very cool.
Me too.
I feel like this looks like a bomber jacket. It doesn't look like sage clothing. I'm trying to think of how to dress him. I'm like,
Also, Brian wants to be a comic writer, I guess comic book writer and artist. I want to work there at Marvel. Very cool. Were you here when we did the storyboarding presentation, Brian? Because that one has a lot of good advice as to how to plan your comic. We talk about a little bit about comic books on that one. And Brianne says that she loves Care Bears, Disney, and Speed Racer. Wow, that's very, very cool. What's your favorite Care Bear?
I think she said all of them last time.
Oh, she did? Oh, you have a good memory.
And if you guys saw Grace's artwork that we shared on our social media, she has a really unique style. Like the way that she draws is, it's almost like realism mixed with sort of, fantasy a little bit. It's very nice.
Okay, yeah, she likes all the Care Bears.
Yeah. Brian, if you've been here for the last 3, not sure when was it, but please feel free to find us on YouTube, and you could rewatch that.
Yep, I just put the link in there to YouTube so you guys can check it out.
Of course, you could pause and play and repeat whatever you want.
So I like these 2 concepts that I've got going here. I think I'm going to develop them a little bit further if I can. So which one do you guys like more? The one on the left or the one on the right?
Let's see, the left. Oh, one vote for the left and 1 vote for the right, or 2 votes for the right.
3 for the right. Okay.
3 for the right, 4 for the right. Alyssa says she likes the Vocaloid Diary of Wimpy Kid and Looney Tunes.
Oh, nice.
Those are all very different mediums. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So which one are we going for? We're going for the left?
I think so. I think the left might have it.
Of course, when you're doing explorations, I only did 2 just for time's sake, but feel free to do as many versions of your character as you see fit until you decide on a final design. The more exploration, the better. But since we decided on this guy, I'm gonna come up with maybe a couple facial expressions so I can learn how to express him a little bit more. So let's see. I only have him like at this like 3/4 view looking this way. So maybe I want to show him this way and do like a frontal one as well. So I know what his snout looks like from the front. Again, these are very loose, very rough sketches. Zoom in a little bit. I gave him these like angry looking eyes. Because he's just done.
Which one? The one on the right?
We're doing the one on the left.
Oh.
What the one with the long neck.
Yeah. That's very Alien versus Predator like.
He's got the long wrinkly neck.
Oh, I see. I see that Brian's artwork is already on our Instagram. So he has a little Lilo and Stitch. I forget who's he. He's Stitch, right? The little character Stitch.
Stitch
and
is
an
the
elephant. Yeah,
yeah,
and an elephant. That's a very nice elephant.
Yeah, and we shared it on our Facebook page also.
Oh, perfect.
I love that Brianna loves reading.
Yes.
No, no, she said she loves sketching, cartoons, animals, people,
Well,
real
reading is
comedy,
important too.
drug-free, and cutaways about freedom and setting the course of Charlotte, North Carolina. Wow, that's a lot. You're like getting into some deep stuff there. That's cool.
And I believe Astocat is asking Jaden, can I
Yes.
take a screenshot of your work?
Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
I'm trying to draw him from behind. He's like bald. So
Oh yeah.
like the back of his neck. It's kind of hard to tell that you're looking at it from behind.
Oh, you can see it.
This is one.
So
This is
this is a free
okay.
program, right? This
Yes.
what is it called again?
Adobe Sketch.
Adobe Sketch.
So this is the part where we spoke about, if anybody remembers what I spoke about, facial expressions, you definitely want to add something like this to your portfolio.
Alisa says that she likes to draw Waco Warner and Hatsune Miku.
I'm
Brianna,
familiar with Vocaloids. Those are like Vocaloids are like a Japanese program to make electronic music, and they have like little mascots for like each of the different sound packages, I think. That's like the best way I can explain it. But that has a little bit to do with music. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, we got a couple of facial expressions here. And then I'm gonna do really quick, see if I can draw him from the side. It's not gonna be a full turnaround, but maybe a little reference. I'm like trying to still have the reference on the side while I'm drawing.
You're doing excellent.
If there's any more questions in the chat, let me know since I can't see it.
Well, I was just going to ask everybody what, are you guys learning any new techniques or anything from watching Jaden and the team present these type of webinars, like while you see him drawing? Because if I were an artist watching this, I would certainly be learning some new techniques just by observing.
So maybe Jaden, you'd like to give the last 5 minutes, so that way we could go ahead and share.
So I'm gonna stop here because again, we're a little short on time, but this is pretty much the general gist of what the beginnings of a character sheet will start to look like. So I hope you guys had fun. I had fun drawing out your suggestions, but this is a good place to start. And I hope that you guys got some inspiration for a couple techniques for you guys to practice this at home.
If you guys are gonna share your artwork, please do not turn on your camera. We want, this is a public forum, and we actually prefer that you would share your artwork by sending it to our Instagram or our Facebook page so we can share it that way. But this is cool here. So just make sure you don't turn on your camera because of privacy. We want to make sure, because we're the library, that we honor everybody's privacy. That's very, very important for us.
Ryan, are you ready? Please go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah, sure thing. I knew a bit of things like the color palette. This here color palette
Okay.
is what I use for like the baseline of the character, and it's a Braille. I made a couple of images, and it's for like a little video game. The thing is, I want to be like a video game designer, or there's this.
Oh, wow,
Ooh.
cool.
oh, I like the size.
Yeah, I actually made like a multiple ones. This one was the first one I made. That's what I used for like to design her clothes. Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully the color hierarchy really works. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the
How
kind
did
of
you
like
get the
Egyptian kind of.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how did you get the inspiration for the poses?
Oh, the poses is like sort of like a picture.
Nice.
Have you thought if this is this going to be a heroine or she's a villain or?
I wouldn't consider her the villain, but like it's the main character you play as.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's from the point of view of the villain. That's pretty cool.
Not really a villain, to be honest. Just
Maybe
like
an anti-hero? Yeah,
yeah, anti-hero, I guess.
that's the word for it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, that makes sense.
So guys, if everybody we're done sharing, thank you so much, Brian, for sharing. Greatly appreciate that. Now, before we go, I'd like to, first and foremost, of course, thank you, all of you. Just so you know, we really hold a special place for all of you here. We really welcome, are so thankful that you guys come and watch us. But I like to tell you a little bit about next month so that you can, again, go ahead and tell your friends all about it. So next month's schedule, it will look something like this. So for, of course, every Friday, same time, same day. First, we will have digital art. So this is going to take a further look into the Adobe Sketch app. So stay tuned for that. You definitely want to register, so make sure that you go and register using, this is a different link, so go ahead and do that, of course, on our social media. Next, we will have Voice Acting 101. So we're going to go ahead and take it a step further, not just animating, but actually giving voices to your characters. So that's going to be really fun, guys. And then we're going to have an intro to podcasting. If you yourself maybe want to learn how to podcast or how to get started, please go ahead and join us as well. That's going to be the third Friday. And last but not least, we're going to have one more. This one has nothing to do with animation, but it is going to be fun. And I hope all of you come in because, you know, it also helps you explore other things. And we're going to be doing a DIY terrarium. If any of you don't know what a terrarium is, it's pretty much one of those cute little, what is it, an ecosystem. So we're going to be go ahead and showing you how to create that out of some household items. So we will make sure that you guys have a lot of fun. And again, please go ahead and register on our social media, either from Instagram or our Facebook. And if you missed one of our webinars or you just want to go back and refresh your memory, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you're going to be able to see us all over again. Thank you so much again, guys, and I hope you have a lovely weekend.
Thank
Bye,
you all for
guys.
Thank you guys
coming.
so
Be
much.
safe.
See you
Bye,
soon.
guys.
See you next time.